Welcome back to another episode of the Game Language Podcast, where we deduce, dissect, and discuss video games and whether or not they speak our language. I'm Troy, and with me always is
Jason.
What's up, buddy?
Oh, just gaming and seeing the end of summer finally happen. That's how you know I'm a weird Arizonan freak.
Yeah.
I cheered at 97 degrees.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not 100 anymore.
I just got off the phone with my stepmom the other day, right? And they're coming down for my wedding, which is in about 3 weeks, right?
I know.
And they're asking, so can you still swim in October? I'm like, yeah. You guys are from Minnesota. Yeah, you can still swim. It's 97 degrees right now. Yeah, you can swim.
I will say that was a huge trend of me and my friends just growing up here is New Year's Eve we'd jump in the pool.
Yeah.
It's
here. Yeah, it gets kind of crazy. Arizona still has its heat flashes in the winter, October, sometimes you can put on a sweater or you have to wear a tank top. You just never know.
I always feel like October is still summer.
Yeah.
It's the encore of summer. And then Halloween's just all right, we decided winter immediately.
Yeah.
There's no fall. There's no in between. It's just you went from 88 to 95 is what I feel what we get.
Yeah.
All through all of October, and then Halloween night when you're in your skimpy outfit, they're just now it's going to be 55. Yeah. Enjoy.
It's wintertime, baby.
And then, some week in November we'll randomly have an 88 day. And
yeah.
Just what the hell?
Yeah. No, it's I'm excited though for the fall. It's my favorite time of year, so it's coming around. Here. It's when I get out of my Arizona depression, the heat depression. I feel like I live on Furion.
As soon as the hoodie, even though it's a light hoodie, as soon as the hoodie comes on, it's like a protection against depression.
Yes,
I'm just
I'm myself again. When I put my hoodie on, I'm the real me. You don't know me till I have a hoodie on.
That was summer Jason.
Yeah.
Hoodie Jason is the real Jason.
Yeah. But what you been playing lately?
I've been playing quite a bit, honestly. I've been dabbling in Street Fighter 6 again, preparing for Terry coming out this Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And then definitely been playing a ton of Baldur's Gate 3, thanks to the new modded patch. And then Dead Rising Deluxe Remastered.
Yeah, how have you been enjoying Dead Rising?
Oh, I've been enjoying it a lot. It's my first time playing it.
Yeah.
I know it's an older game, and it feels like an older game, and I'll get more into what I really like and don't like about it in our impressions later. But
yeah.
So overall, I really enjoy it. I actually, I'm very happy I never played it before because it's really cool to see a game with such an interesting take. It's like playing Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
But a Capcom version.
No, I get it.
But what about you? What you been playing?
So I went ahead and caved and picked up the Marvel vs. Capcom collection. Yeah. So I've been playing that. I tried it out last night. So it's been so long since I've played that game, and I don't think I've ever played in the training mode. I've only ever just hopped on the cabinet and fought somebody, or hung out with my friend Matt, and we'd play against each other at home, right? And so I'm starting to realize there are characters who I used to like, who I don't like at all anymore now that I've seen their full skill set and their full list of attacks. And yeah, I'm just going to try and get good at that. I'm looking forward to it. It's a really, really fun fighting game. Really zany, but really fun.
Yeah, it sounds about right. It's funny to see Marvel vs. Capcom 2 because you and I were talking about it last night a little bit. It doesn't seem to be as combo heavy, huh?
Not really. It depends. So it's not as combo heavy as I would say. It's not as straightforward and combo heavy as fighting games nowadays. But there are still situations that you can put people in that are considered a combo, which last quite some time. So it all depends. Where before you had a very recognizable structure on a combo. You have your combo strikes into a special, which will put them into a certain type of tumble state or something along those lines. You pick them back up, you go into a full combo and finish off with a super. In this, it'll be some type of launcher into a loop, and then you get hit by another assist, and then they're looping you with the same attack. And so it's not really a combo heavy game unless you know what you're doing at really high levels. But yeah, it's still, I can still see how while the frustrations of being hit at once and then dying still exist, they probably won't show up in our group of people who are playing the game.
Yeah, no, I really want to buy this game.
Yeah,
but I will not play it online with randos.
I don't. I think it's a much more fun game if you're just playing with your friends.
Yeah, no, it seems really fun, and I love the sprite work. So like watching it, I'm like, I'm not usually into like team fighters, but super interested in playing that one just because it seems like a fun game, almost like Smash Bros. To me.
Yeah.
But has that been the only game you've been playing?
I've been playing a little Baldur's Gate also, just like you guys. The mod patch came out, and so I've tried a few different things. My favorite, of course, is the party limit be gone, or the adjust party limit one, which allows me to play with every cast member of the game, which is nice. That's probably my favorite way to play the game, is having everyone from the cast in the party at the same time.
Oh yeah, I've been enjoying that too.
Yeah, and what else I've played? So there's a game called Byte Breakers, right? So it's it's in like in early development. If you go onto Steam, you can search it and then just request access. They're letting just about everybody in, and it is a platformer fighter, but also a what do you call it?
Isn't it a battle royale?
Like a battle royale. So it's interesting. I don't love it, but I know that it's in its early stages. I like the concept. I like a lot of the animations that the characters have, but it's one to watch. I think that what was the name of the game that they made originally? They made the like frisbee action game.
Is it the
it's all good. It's so essentially they
Knockout City?
Not Knockout City.
Oh.
Knockout City I think was a wrestling game. So there was we got a couple games a few years ago where they were like the action frisbee games remade, and they made one of those and they decided to try a fighting game afterwards. I'll have to pull up the company's name, but essentially it's a game worth watching. I think that they have a really good idea of their character designs, and their music choices are all really good. I've been listening to their soundtrack on Spotify. They have a really good idea of what they want their vibe to be for their game, and it's not bad. So but I will say that this is a game that they've stated that they are just putting it out there. It's something that they've been messing with. They're messing with a bunch of different types of games, and this is just one that kind of sat well with them, and they're seeing how people like it. So if the community doesn't like it, they're going to completely scrap it and move on to one of the other projects that they had in the pipeline. So go try it out, see if you like it, let them know your feedback. This game might not ever exist, or it might be the next big thing that they focus on. But Byte Breakers.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of bites, it's time for bite-sized news. So let's find out what's going on in the world of gaming with our 3 bites of news stories, which actually, hot off the presses, boo, we got a 4th one too, and I'll save that for the end. So, starting off with the first news story. We're bringing Concord back. I know, you're probably sick of hearing this, but some new information reportedly dropped. Concord, so this came from the the Sacred Symbols PlayStation podcast with Colin Moriarty. And he said he got this from a dev, like a confirmed developer of Concord, that the game was not around $100 million like we thought. The game reportedly was a $400 million project, which is insane. But if you look at the increase of Sony's first-party title budgets, it's kind of in line with it. If you think about it, because live service games are more expensive than single-player games. And the last most expensive game Sony released was Spider-Man 2 last year. That had $315 million budget. So, this being $400 million is just kind of reinforcing that thought that, like, dude, AAA is just unsustainable. Like, games cannot cost this much to come out. And with the reports that Concord really only brought in about $1 million in revenue, that's like a $399 million loss for Sony.
Yeah.
And like they also refunded everyone, so I don't even know if they got that $1 million in revenue. Yeah. It's just kind of crazy to see that. It also makes me like question Sony's eye for games, because internally, according to this report, they were hyping this up to be like the future of PlayStation was Concord. They said it would be their Star Wars. And I'm a little confused at that, because Sony's usually very good at picking games like God of War, Ratchet and Clank. Like, I love PlayStation franchises. I think that they've only had a couple that I don't really gel with, like Days Gone. So it was just a really shocking report to see that. This game has been an anomaly for me.
Yeah, I've said it before, and I think that more marketing would have helped that game. You just had to get it to people a lot more often, and maybe help people fall in love with the characters, because there's nothing for anybody to attach themselves to. And while I didn't appreciate the gunplay that much, it sounds like when you looked it up, that people thought the gunplay was okay.
See, that's the thing, though, is like people thought it was okay.
Yeah, but there's plenty of okay games that are out nowadays that are doing well, So I think that this could have been turned around with getting it out to people more often, having people try it out more often so that you can make better adjustments, and probably making it free to play and adding like cosmetics or something.
I really wish they would have done a bigger alpha and beta session with the public, because it only had 13 days on the market. That's not a lot of time to fix anything.
I don't know why you play it so close to the chest, because I think that this is going to be a game that we can compare to. I mean, honestly, stick with me, but I'm having a little bit of deja vu between Overwatch and what was the game that came out with Overwatch?
Battleborn?
Battleborn. You remember how Overwatch and Battleborn both came out around the time, and Battleborn got killed. Overwatch came out. The hero shooter, the team hero shooter won. Now we have Deadlock and Concord. Flip the roles. We have a MOBA shooter versus a team shooter, and the team shooter is now losing, essentially. And I think that if you look at it, it's not about exactly the genre and the game itself. It's about how you handle selling the game. You need to have people get their hands on the game a lot. Make sure that a lot of people can touch it, and then tell you what's good, what's bad. Have somebody who pays close attention to the community and make those adjustments to try to appeal to a mass amount of people. Then you can make your adjustments from there, and essentially try to market it well so that everyone wants to play the game. I just think that they played their cards too close to their chest when they could have had something that was really special. Because I don't think that everything about Concord was bad. Yeah, a lot of the characters resembled like MCU characters, almost in a blatant ripoff type of way.
Yeah, I to be honest, I thought they were really uninspired.
Yeah, but they could have been changed. I think we talked about it before. You could have gone back to the drawing board with the reactions that people had to the characters' classic designs, and then possibly come out with updated designs and just use those as classic designs, and here's what their actual design is now. And then you've got make little tweaks here and there to make them stand out a little bit better, make tweaks to their personality to make them stand out.
Yeah, actually that's a great, I didn't even think about doing it that way. I was just like, oof, I kind of just gave up on the characters because their original designs just aren't good. But that is something that I think they could have fixed, because it's a game that's meant to be a live service. Why not just upgrade them with better skins and make those skins end up being the default in response? And then you look like a hero, being like, we heard you. Yeah. Puffy jackets, not great. Yeah. We'll fix it. But they didn't.
They didn't make the necessary adjustments. I don't make video games. So I'm just a dude on a couch talking about video games. So I don't know exactly the ins and out, but if I were to try to save the game, I would have made it a free-to-play game that comes with PlayStation that anybody can play. Essentially, you buy a PS5, you get Concord. You have a hero shooter that you can play with your friends and your family members. That's exciting and doesn't cost. Has a like a cosmetic. What do you call it? Microtransactions, but make them cheaper than Overwatch's current transactions. Because that's the thing is everybody hates about Overwatch right now is. Of course, we have issues with the way that it's been changed to a 5v5, but we also don't like that it costs $50 to get a skin. My fiance plays it all the time, and she can't buy the skins that she wants because it's like buying a whole game.
Yeah.
Make them a lot cheaper, Make them something that people can have access to. Essentially, turn your fault into a way to make money. We make better skins. They're cheap. $5 gets you a dope skin. We pretty much revamped everybody's original skin, so you'll like what they look like. And then we keep adding gun skins and things like that. While you guys are playing the game and we're coming out with ways to recoup the money we lost, we can also work on battle adjustments to make the game better. Save it in some way. And long down the road, Concord could be something that everybody attaches to their PlayStation. Possibly, you know?
And in fairness, like, you know, Sony still owns everything about it. It could come back.
Yeah.
Especially since it's part of like that Amazon secret level show. But yeah, we've talked about Concord a lot. So let's move on to the next piece of news. This one's huge. Nintendo sues PalWorld over patent infringement.
Yes.
So this was one that I think all of us were shocked didn't happen when it got announced. When I saw PalWorld, I was like, oh.
Like, is that Zigzagoon right there with the machine gun?
Right. And I'm just like, are you, like, the balls, the chutzpah of these guys to be challenging Nintendo, the king of suing, by blatantly ripping off a lot of their monster designs. Which is also why it's so odd that this lawsuit is not about that. You might be thinking, so they finally got them. They finally found, you know, the designs that were blatantly ripped off and infringed copyright. No, it's actually patent infringement, which their patent that they quote in the lawsuit is a game mechanic. They're suing them over being able to throw balls.
That's how they throw your balls that got them.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I do think PalWorld directly did copy, like, almost to a T, their RNG, like, programming. Because distance, where you hit them, where you throw it, how you throw it, the 3 clicks of the RNG, all of that is just too similar.
Yeah.
And they also made it a ball, which I'm just like, man, you guys couldn't just throw a diamond or something.
Yeah.
Like, or a star, like, shaped little ball. I'm like, So
you already have guns. Why not just have us shoot them to catch them?
Yeah.
Have like a gun that shoots a net or something, and that's what catches them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I actually think that PalWorld is going to be fine. They're going to probably have to pay a huge fine for this. And I do think that they'll have to change that mechanic. But again, you didn't need... PalWorld has a lot going for it that I don't think that this game mechanic is core to it too much. So much so that if it gets, like, you know, altered a bit, I don't think anyone's going to be too mad.
Nah.
But just sucks that they're getting sued because PalWorld... is still an indie company despite its massive success, so this does suck for them that they're dealing with that. But going on to good news, the Krafton CEO, which is a Korean-based company, speaks on supporting HiFi Rush 2, even though it may not get them very much profit. And I'm going to read directly from the Krafton CEO because I really just like what he had to say. He said, "We can't acquire Tango Gameworks based on their financials or their numbers, right? We don't think HiFi Rush 2 is going to make us money, to be frank. HiFi Rush might have brought in a little bit of a minus in terms of the financials, but it's a team that should be encouraged to create something new and continue their journey. We want to have more teams like that under our umbrella." He says they want to make HiFi Rush 2, but it's not just about the money. We wanted to help the team continue developing their games, but especially HiFi Rush. When I think about our fans, I think what they really care about is HiFi Rush sequels. Just recoup the production costs, please, is what I say. So I really, really, really love that he's just getting out there and saying, like, look, we really do just support this game. Hope that you guys will help recoup the costs. But just know we're not planning on, like, sacking them if they don't make us $100 million in profit. So really cool to see a CEO that's not numbers focused, exclusively, especially for a game that we both very much love.
Yes.
So now to our final bit of off the press news that just came out literally about an hour or two ago.
Yeah.
Fatal Fury City of the Wolves is getting a very special character. It's a real-life person named Cristiano Ronaldo, the professional soccer player. Apparently everyone's favorite human.
I don't understand. It's an anime fighter. What is he gonna? I know he's gonna kick you, but is he Is he going to use the soccer ball in his moveset?
I honestly hope so. It just like pops out of nowhere and he kicks it at you.
That's going to be insane. Oh my gosh.
I'm so excited to see the moveset.
Yeah.
Like
I would have understood him in Street Fighter. I would have understood him in maybe Tekken because they've had, other like actors characters in Tekken. But in City of the Wolves, that is not, that wasn't on my bingo card whatsoever.
Yeah, especially with the more cartoony art style.
Yeah.
At first, right when you said Street Fighter, I'm like, huh? But then I'm like, wait, they went for a really more realistic style. That actually makes sense. Yeah, Fatal Fury's very cartoony. So it's kind of weird to pick a real person for that. That'd be like going into Guilty Gear. So it's just very interesting. I don't hate it, but looking forward to it.
Yeah. His character model is going to look straight out of like Tekken versus Street Fighter.
Oh, that's going to be fun. Oh, but that does it for bite-sized news today.
So for this variety section, I got a fun little game. All right. It's pretty much a true or false game, but it's essentially, is this a real mechanic in a game or not?
Oh, so I like this.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you two mechanics. One of them are real, one of them is made up, and you have to guess which one is real, okay?
Okay.
Now, some of these I cannot believe are actual mechanics. So we'll start with this one. This game came with a heart rate monitor that would increase jump scares if your heart rate was too low. In this other game, this game had an inclusion of a built-in solar system required for gameplay, so you'd have to play it outside. Which one's real?
The heart rate monitor.
That's false.
That is false?
Yeah, so Vocab, a game. So this is what made me think of this game is me and Matt used to play this game called Lunar Nights, which was like a co-op. Well, not co-op, but it had a multiplayer mechanic to it. But it was a 3DS game. Essentially, me and Matt met playing a Bleach fighting game in our our science class. Mm-hmm. So we had a science class. He sat behind me. We became friends. We would both bring in our little 3DSs and whatnot, and we'd fight each other in this game while we were supposed to be doing our homework. So we put our little books up and just be fighting each other. He played as Ichigo. I would play as Uryu. So really fun. But this is another game that we played, Lunar Nights, and this is a sequel. I think it's the fourth one to Vocab, which originally came out and had a solar sensor in the top of the cartridge. So when you'd go outside, it was a game about fighting vampires. You'd go outside, the solar sensor would power up your moves in the game so that you could fight better, essentially. So
interesting.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
Wow.
This game's unique mechanic had you playing two characters with one controller, one being controlled by the left side and one being controlled by the right side. This other game, this platforming game, would intermittently stop reading your inputs for what seemed like random amounts of time. But if you read the manual, you would discover that there was an actual hidden code in there that would give you an idea of when your inputs would stop being read.
The controlling two characters with one controller is the true one. That's Brothers, Tale of Two Sons.
Brothers, Tale of Two Sons. I figured you might catch that one. Yeah, so in that game, you would control both characters with each side of the controller. When I first played that game, I didn't realize that at first.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, why is this? What's going on here? And then I turned it off originally, and then I went back and played it later. But yeah, that was a fun game.
Yeah, imagine a platformer that just disregards your inputs. It's so funny.
But that would be kind of cool to be like, why does this keep happening? But if you go and read the manual, there's like a whole codex in there that tells you when.
That would be awesome for a game like Astrobot, where it's like your robot's malfunctioning because you didn't read the manual.
It would make sense for like a PS1 game.
Yeah.
When a manual came with every game. All right, so here, this game includes a mechanic that allows you to manage a list of upgradable chips to improve your character. If you need additional space for these upgrades, you can remove critical items like your HUD and other functions. Be careful though, if you remove one, it could end your character's life. This other game includes this action game includes a mechanic where you could romance every boss in order to complete a passive run considered the infatuation run.
The removing of chips is the real one. That's Nier Automata.
Yeah, that is true. But how dope would it be to play an action game where you could just romance a boss instead?
You got to call that one like Love or War. And it's just like that's the love path.
The love path. All right. This game messes with your head as your insanity meter increases. Examples it would turn off your TV, shift your volume, and even create memory card errors. This other game, the title screen of this game shows your character facing off with the final boss, essentially like the main villain of the game. If you input a code, you could actually take control of your character and just like smack him a few times to end the game, and you get a secret ending for it.
Wow. It's definitely the sanity meter's the true one, because it's from Eternal Darkness.
Yeah, it is. I didn't know you played that game.
I didn't play it. I have seen many videos on it because it's famous for how because it's a Nintendo first party game.
Yeah.
It's a very strange game.
All right, and here's the last one. I wonder if you should probably get this one. When completing this game, you would choose New Game Plus, and you choose a series of buffs and debuffs. One debuff triples your XP, but your character literally cannot wear any clothes, and he walks around naked. In this game had a boss that would read your inputs, requiring you to unplug your controller and plug it into a different port to essentially pass the boss. They would read your memory card and talk shit to you the whole time.
Yeah, that's the second one, the memory card. That's Psycho Mantis, baby.
Psycho Mantis. But yeah, that's a bunch of games that had like really cool mechanics in them, and a couple made up ones that I wish were real.
Yeah. I think I would laugh so hard at the New Game Plus with the naked character.
How funny would that be?
I know I'd play that. And I would hope that the game would react to that, where characters are just like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah. But that's it for the variety section. After the break, we're going to be going over a game that I brought in, which is going to be League of Legends, something I've been wanting to talk about for a while. We've got a really good boss topic and, a closing vocab that talks about something near and dear to my heart. So see you after the break. Welcome back from the break. Hope you're well rested.
So rested.
Yeah, I took a nap. I'm just kidding.
All 30 seconds
All
of
30 seconds of a nap. But before we get into my game, we are going to be talking about the impressions. Jason, you've been playing Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. Tell me about it, man.
So this game is a 1-to-1 remake with obviously some alterations. But the core game, like, it feels like the code. It is a remake of an old game from Xbox 360, but now remade into Capcom's proprietary RE engine. And it has been a blast. I kind of understand why they brought this back. Dead Rising is surprisingly a very popular franchise. It's sold quite a few million for them. It's in one of their, it's in the top 8, I believe, of their franchises that make the most money. But I haven't heard of Dead Rising for a while.
Yeah,
because it's been a while since they've made a new game. Playing this though, I'm just like, oh man, I hope they make a new one because this is fun as hell. The game follows a journalist, Frank West, as he goes to investigate a small town that is being quarantined by the military. And when you get in there, you realize it's zombies. And let me tell you, this game is super odd. Yeah. It has probably one of the most conflicting tonal feels I've ever. It's very much like Metal Gear. I remember you saying that to me. In its tone, where it's it's serious, but it's also stupidly funny and just odd. Over the top. Yeah. Because you'll be sitting there talking to people. And it's they're getting brutally murdered, and you're like, oh no, this actually feels like there's stakes. And then the very next second, it's Frank West jumping, going woohoo off of a helicopter to land into the mall, and I'm just this is just odd. But I'm having such a good time with it. It's weird how they don't seem to take themselves seriously, even though that they randomly do tell serious storytelling moments. There's something about the confidence of it, that it's just played out the way that it is, that just makes it fun and fortunately not cringe. I've enjoyed almost all of the dialogue and all the cutscenes. I haven't beaten the game yet. I've actually restarted. So one of the cool mechanics is that your character levels up as you get better in the game, as you kill a bunch of zombies and save survivors. And that unlocks actual abilities for Frank, jump kicks, roundhouses, suplexes. It's just nutty. And if you feel like you're getting stuck, because the game does follow a 72-hour time limit, a strict one. If you feel like you've failed too much, because the game will continue to let you keep playing, even if you miss the critical path. They're like, hey, you met that's what happened to me. Why I restarted is I didn't make it back in time to give medicine to someone that was important to the story, and it was like, hey, you failed. Right now, you can go and try and load a save and try and like checkpoint and complete that, or you can continue playing and try to figure out as much as you can, but you're not going to be able to get everything, is what they say, like the facts. Or you can start over from hour one, but with all of your experience. And I did that because I came back and, oh boy, I've saved like 20 to 30 survivors since then. I am fast as hell, and I am roundhousing and chopping people up like it was no one's business. So it's been a really fun time. I will say, if you're like a fan of like really interesting like game mechanics, I think that Dead Rising is a very, very unique game. It, as I said earlier in Whatcha Playin, it reminds me of Majora's Mask with the time mechanic. But the thing that I love about the time mechanic, and it's one of the reasons I love Majora's Mask, is that it's not RNG. I really like that knowledge is like one of your best like tools in the game. Knowing where like the powerful items are, and then like they always are there. It makes it more fun to like find paths to get there, so that you can overcome things that before, if you didn't know about that like item, makes it a lot easier. Like there's a group of prisoners that start riding around in a Humvee with a Gatling gun. Very, very infuriating. A very unfun encounter the first time you do it. But once you learn how to fight them, and especially if you use like the machete or the like katana, once you get them stopped in its damage phase, all of a sudden you're taking them out in 2 damage phases. So so the fight becomes like a lot easier. Still will say though, they tend to respawn a lot of the encounters like that.
Yeah. Which
I don't enjoy. I do think that that's a negative. So there's still some like clunky Xbox 360-isms like in game design here. But I do think that like the positives that I've been experiencing far outweigh the negatives. So I would recommend it to people that haven't played the original. It doesn't look like there's much like added to the game other than being able to like shoot while aiming. Move while aiming. And just a couple of quality of life things. Like apparently, I don't know if it was in the original, but you can hold hands with the survivors to be able to like overcome the fact that their AI is stupid as hell.
Oh, so you can pretty much drag them to help them get to where they need to go.
That's how I have saved so many people, because my Frank, when you level up, one of your stats goes up every time, but it's not always all your stats. So like you'll level up to like level 2 and it's like attack up. Go to level 3 and it's like stamina up, speed up, so on. I've gotten a couple speed up ones. Frank's fast.
Yeah.
He's
so he can drag them along really quickly.
Oh yeah. No, I grab like some girl and I'm just like, you're coming with me. we just run through the zombie crowds to get back to the security room. So I do find that to be really cool. I don't know how much better that is in the original. But I enjoyed it. I haven't had as many problems with the AI as I saw in like previews and reviews of the old game. So it is a more fun experience. But yeah, still going to keep playing it. I'm definitely going to beat it. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm surprised how much I like it. The combat is also like something that's like way more engaging than I thought it would be.
Really?
I thought, because when you first play it and you don't have any moves, and I was just like mashing square to like hit people with lead pipes, I was like, this kind of janky and not that fun, if I'm being real honest. But then I started learning like jump kicks, roundhouses, sweep kicks, suplexes, and like all these like really unique moves. And now I'm like, dude, I look forward to like every time I go in a room and there's a bunch of zombies, I'm like, yahoo!
Yeah.
I'd be doing Zangief's lariat
have you gotten the ability to like jump on their head yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get that pretty early. That's fun. The other thing with that is like, You go on people's heads, you jump off. I learned this move now where if you press down square when you're in the air, you'll come down with both knees, and it just decapitates every zombie in your like some immediate area. You just like come down and it's just like so it is an extremely goofy game. But I adore it.
How are the cutscenes?
They are very good in traditional Capcom fashion, in the sense that like they're very over the top, but they're really fun. My favorite cutscene has to be the like grocery store psychopath, because so there's bosses in the game called psychos, and they all get their own cutscenes, which is really cool because they're all really funny and weird. But the guy in the grocery store, he like tries to fight you with a shopping cart with like pitchforks on it, and he's just like, the actor deserves an Oscar for how like just insane he is.
Yeah,
maybe not an Oscar, but I enjoyed his "This is my store." He just like screams at you so much, and it just puts a smile on my face. So I love the cutscenes. Really looking forward to seeing like what ending I get, based on the decisions I've made. But yeah, that's about all I've got to say so far on Dead Rising. I'll finish up how well the game, my impressions or thoughts on it when I finish it, and see if it sticks the landing in its last bit. I think I'm at the last 24 hours. So
okay. And how long have you been playing it so far? Like how many hours?
I have put in, I think, 8 hours. Yeah, I played about 4 hours for the 2 days that it's been out. I didn't play it yesterday. But
there was one question before you finish. How do you like the environments?
Ooh, I really like them. In the sense that they're very memorable. This is a game that I can actually see myself playing without a HUD very easily. Because each like section of the mall has its own distinct flavor.
That's good.
And like identity.
Do you have a favorite area so far?
So far, I wouldn't say nothing's really like stuck out to me so far environment wise that I'm like, oh yeah, I love being in here. If I had to pick one, it'd probably be like the first like the first plaza when you get out of the like security room, just because there's a katana there. So, although I will say visually, I do like the outdoor plaza the most. It's like Alceres Plaza, I believe. That one just looks cool, and it typically has like thousands of zombies in it. And there's a chainsaw store, so you can run through
and
tons of them.
Have you seen every area so far or no?
No, I haven't. I actually just barely started encountering more enemy types because I haven't played this game. I was very shocked to find that it is not just zombies or the 3 prisoners. I'm fighting like a cult that's like, they're doing like suicide bombs on me. It's like really weird. But yeah, so I'm like excited because they started showing up on day 2 when I like made it to the second day, and I was like, oh shit. I was like, now I'm like really looking forward to day 3 because I'm like, what are you gonna throw at me, Capcom? There's got to be some third faction I don't know about. But yeah, very fun. Now, to get to the meat of this episode, the special game. Troy, are you ready to talk about League of Legends?
I am, dude.
All right. Well, first I've got some questions before we get into League of Legends itself. This is what we ask all our guests, and since it's your game that's on the docket today, you're our guest, even though you're a host. Kind of weird, huh?
I'm a guest host. I'm host guest. Where do I begin? Where does guest begin, and where does host begin?
Is it a ring? Is there no end and no beginning?
Yeah. I'm Ouroboros guest host.
All right, first question for you. How often do you game?
I game pretty often.
Yeah.
I often pretty game, dude. I often game all the time. No, I game pretty often. I play Monday, Wednesday, Friday are my definitive, like, I get off work half an hour after I've gotten off work, I've like kicked off the shoes, fed the dog, thrown my shirt across the room, and I'm sitting down gaming. Yeah.
Those are good days to game. Now, on to the second question. What game genre stands out to you the most?
The most would have to be fighting games. Fighting games are my like happy place. Like no matter what's going on in my life, if I can sit down, put on some like Japanese funk / jazz and get into a training room of a game that I really appreciate, it'll like wash away all my sadness.
Oh man, that sounds even better than like hot cocoa on a winter night. That's awesome. So next question then, since you're a big fan of fighting games, what are some game mechanics you enjoy or wish were better represented?
Yeah, so I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I think parry mechanics in fighting games are something that I'm happy to see is showing up more often. So you had it originally in the first time I had experienced it was in Third Strike, but it was pretty hard for me to do, having to press forward at the time of the attack. But as games have been continuing, as we've been getting more and more fighting games, we're starting to get parry mechanics more and more often. We're going to have it in Garou or City Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves. They're going to have a parry mechanic. They have parries in Street Fighter 6. It's just a mechanic that I think is really cool, a really cool, rewarding defensive mechanic to turn the tide of battle. And it's probably, in my opinion, more hype than anything that happens in a fighting game. More hype than a huge combo. More hype than a crazy super. I think the coolest thing that can happen is getting a perfect parry.
Yeah, there is something like really cool about the idea of, for me at least, when a parry has the right amount of risk.
Yeah.
I don't like it in Street Fighter 6 because it just doesn't seem as risky. But there is nothing cooler than when someone's attacking, and then the better player just is like, "Oh, I know what you're gonna do." Well, bam.
Yeah.
And then reverses it. It is. You are right. It is actually way more hype than doing a level 3 or anything. Like,
what? It is the coolest thing. And I agree with you. In Street Fighter 6, I don't like how the parry mechanic is a button that you hold, and that's why regular parries are not that exciting. So specifically, perfect parries in Street Fighter 6 are the exciting moments because you normally get a lot of fanfare. You know, then you get the zoom in, you get the huge effect and everything. Everything looks sick. It's like, all right, I perfect parry you. And if you perfect parry a super multiple times, like that is the coolest thing that can happen. Yeah.
I honestly really do wish that they didn't have normal parry. I wish it just did perfect parry. But we'll be talking about parry mechanics all day if I don't move on to this next question for you. Which video game character best represents you?
Best represents me. So I have a few different video game characters that represent me, but I'd have to say Ryu from Street Fighter. Like, that character is the reason that I am the way that I am with any game. He is like a constant, he constantly is looking for a challenge and approaching that challenge with a level head and trying his best to overcome it. Additionally, everybody's got rage in them. You know, everybody has this anger, and the fact that Ryu is constantly challenged, or used to be constantly challenged, by the Satsui no Hado, which is like that evil malice within him, the evil like killer's instinct, and it's something he's always fought against. I've always respected that. So it's like he teaches me to constantly look for adversity, to grow, and to overcome those extremely negative qualities within myself. So Ryu there's a reason I have the Hadouken tattooed on me. So
hell yeah. Great answer. Ryu is a great character also to pick. What a stoic guy.
Yeah, he's a stoic. I'm not nearly as stoic as he is. But
your determination is, though. So, but it's time for a bonus question. If you can steal one item from any video game character, what would you take and what would you use it on? That
is a good question, and I'm upset that I came up with that question because I struggle answering that question. But I've thought to think about all the different, useful tools that video game characters have. It's like, do I take? Honestly, okay. If I could take any item, I would take the Chaos Emerald from Sonic. I would take the Chaos Emeralds, and I would use them anytime I felt threatened.
Chaos control.
Yeah, I would take all of them and I just turn Super Troy and I just run through my problem. just run through my problem and then go back to my day to day. So I would take the Chaos Emeralds and just forcefully run my way through whatever adversity I have, and then go back to looking for them again.
What if your adversity is a customer? Super Troy.
He better run, and he better run fast. Because if I power up, bro, I don't know. I'm gonna have to tell your family you don't exist anymore.
Oh, great answer. And surprise, surprise, it's bonus. There's another question for you before we get to your game. Which video game character would best suit you as a romantic partner?
For this one, dang, that's a tough one.
Yeah, you're about to reveal to everybody what your tastes are. Let us know.
Romantic partner. Shoot. Who's? It's tough because I need to make sure that they're not too cute and adorable because it's weird, but I'm not a gooner, so it's not going to be something like Miranda from
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect. Because then that'd be weird. Probably, honestly, Link, because, Link's always, if I ever get captured or something like that, or something bad happens to me, Link's going to take care of me. He's going to come find me. Additionally, he can't speak, so I'm not going to argue with him all the time.
He can speak.
He can? Okay. Well,
he just doesn't.
I choose a Link that doesn't speak. Because, we're not going to argue all the time. He fights so we can spar. I'd probably go with Link as a romantic partner. He's cool looking,
Hey, yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you for answering my questions. Now, on to the meat of it. You said you brought League of Legends.
Yeah.
Why'd you bring League of Legends?
So League of Legends was a game is really, really formative to how I am as a video game player, just like Ryu. If you look at the entire sort of, I want to say not marketing, but the vibe that is League of Legends, it is, hey, here is a wall, overcome that wall, become better, and continue to be better, and you will be great. You watch, I remember, I used to play League of Legends for fun, and I think I saw the World 2014 trailer. It was a Warriors trailer, but that or not trailer, but music video. The music video is really important to me because it's kind of what every player is doing. You go and I used to go to this Gamers End Plaza, right? It's here in Arizona. It's on Stapley, and you'd pay $12 and you get 24 hours of gaming, right? That place stunk like shit, but it was so disgusting. I would not use a bathroom there because it was disgusting. But I would go there. I'd buy some sour cream and onion chips. I'd buy honey buns, and I'd buy Gatorades and Monsters. And I'd go sit down at one of the they had this skinny hallway with a bunch of computers that were disgusting. They made sure to keep Clorox wipes right next to them so you could wipe down the controllers. And people were either playing 2 games or 3 games. They were playing Counter-Strike, they were playing Mabinogi, or they were playing League of Legends. Not Mabinogi, MapleStory, or they were playing League of Legends. And I played MapleStory quite a bit there. But I would love just sitting there and playing League for hours and hours until I fell asleep in the middle of a match. Just trying to get better at characters. I was an Ezreal main, for those who play League of Legends. And I just remember trying really hard, seeing if anybody wanted to get in a group. Me and my friend Matt would just sit there and we would play for hours. And then that eventually led to Howie's Game Shack, which was another place, much better venue. And we'd go there. They had about 100 computers, and we'd sit down and play until the sun came up. And there's just always this vibe of League of Legends where it was, just one more match, I'll get better. I'll learn something I didn't learn. I'll master this build that I didn't have mastered. And eventually, I'll be on the big stage playing against all the best players. And anybody can do it. And that was the vibe. Every music video that came out, the vibe was anybody could be here. You could be here. And that really motivated me competitively to try my best at pretty much any competitive game I played. And that feeling of that hunger to be better, and the feeling of succeeding and overcoming yourself and beating yourself, is literally the most satisfying feeling I've ever had in video games. And so, yeah, that's why I choose League of Legends, because I would not be the player that I am at any video game if it weren't for the trenches, the salt mines, the like getting beaten by somebody and that person telling you you're trash, your family's trash, your father's disappointed in you and all that, and then coming back and then defeating them and being able to just type the dirtiest, grimiest thing and winning. That's just, it's unmatched.
Yeah, that competitive spirit, I definitely get that from you. But was there anything specific about League of Legends itself, like the game, that made you want to be that competitive about it? Or was it just the music video?
It was it was almost like I was playing virtual chess, essentially. So the way that the game is set up is you have 3 lanes. And in those 3 lanes, each of them have 3 towers and an inhibitor. Essentially what you're doing is you're battling in these lanes to try and defeat your enemy, kill their minions, defeat their towers down to their inhibitor so that you can spawn stronger minions to eventually take their nexus, right? That's the basics of the game. Defeat the towers, defeat the nexus, defeat the towers, defeat the inhibitors, defeat the nexus. You win. Outside of that, there's these areas this area called the jungle. This is all that exists between the lanes. In there, you have different minions that give you buffs or give your team buffs that you could kill, whether it be the Baron, which is the big boss in the game, where if you're strong enough and you guys take him on, everybody becomes stronger. They do everything better. There's like a dragon that you defeat that gives you small buffs based off the type of dragon that it is. Back in the day, it was only one dragon. Now back in the day, it was just one dragon. He would give you a small buff. Now there's all these different types of dragons that do different things. But it was like the idea of mastering this macro and major game all at the same time, whether it be the individual killing of minions, because every time you got the last hit on a minion, right, you'd get extra gold. So now you're competing with the guy you're fighting on who's going to master killing their creeps properly. But not only killing them at the right time, because if you kill them too fast, then you're always at risk because you're closer to their tower, meaning that they're jungler, so there's normally a person assigned to roam the jungle and help out the lanes. They can come and gank you. That's where ganking comes from, you know? They can come in and flank you, gank you, and jump into your lane and kill you. And so mastering that sort of that macro play of killing minions. So I'm worrying about minions. I'm worrying about map position. I'm worrying about what my team's doing. There's just so many different mechanics that would go into this. Like literally, there's one stage. It's always been the same exact stage. There are different game modes now, but everybody plays that one stage, and it just felt like there was an infinite amount of knowledge that I could learn. And that's not even getting into building the correct items, because you have to go back and shop for your character. So there was that macro and major play that attracted me, that kept me dug in. But I was also really into the world. So this game exists in this world called Runeterra, right? Runeterra exists with multiple different regions. In those regions, you have regions like Demacia, Noxus, Piltover, Zwan, Ionia, Freljord. Now, to give you kind of a small rundown, like in this world, in these areas, there's all these different characters that have achieved great things. And back in the day when League first started, it was you as a player are one of these mages that when the universe at whole had a conflict, each of you would go and reach into this world of Runeterra and pick out these champions, these people who have achieved great things, and you guys would battle on the Summoner's Rift to decide world-changing events. And that's how things were decided. So that's like when you watch original trailers, you'll see like the player or the character gets like defeated, and then it'll zoom out and you see like a mage who's like looking at a ball, and they'll like fall down or something like that, because that's you. So that feeling that I was part of the world and I was controlling these champions was really cool to me, you know? And this world was rich with lore. Like my favorite area is Piltover, because it's a world of progress. If you watch the show Arcane, which is why I wanted to talk about League, it's you've got this cool dichotomy between this world where there's these inventors that have everything sparkly and perfect and great, and they have nothing but progress and exciting inventions. And then right underneath them is where all their fall off is, or their runoff. And this is a world of equally intelligent inventors, but they're in the slums. So they're working with crude materials, and they're coming up with really crude inventions and just things that get them by, but they're still as impressive. And having that sort of conflict between the two places is really cool, because not everything is like in Piltover, not everybody is good. Like I have two favorite characters in League of Legends, one from Piltover and one from Zwan. You have Echo from Zwan, who's this really smart, really cool inventor who invented a time machine, or like what he calls a Z drive, which allows him to go back in time. Well, his whole backstory and the reason why he's obsessed with time is that he has a friend who got killed by a Piltover, like I want to not enforcer, but a Piltover in like a rich dude who came down, considered his friend trash because he like touched him, killed him.
Wow.
Yeah. Piltoverians, they look down on him, treat him like shit. And so Echo was trying to save him, couldn't save him, and kept on rewinding time over and over and over and over again to try to save him, couldn't do it. And so he's obsessed with making sure that like he never fails like that again. He invented the Z drive before that happened, but he goes back in time to make sure that if anything bad happens to the people he cares about, he will go back in time and suffer over and over and over again to make sure that that never happens to them, you know? And he's just a kid from Zwan. He's not a bad kid, great kid, but he was unfortunately born on the wrong side. And then you have, in Piltover, you have Ezreal, who is pretty much League of Legends version of Indiana Jones. He's this super confident guy who's extremely intelligent and who just goes around finding crazy artifacts. He even has a line, "You belong in a museum," like Indy does. And so I love this like difference in these two characters, where one's an explorer and one's a like inventor just trying to get by. And they have complex stories like that in characters throughout all of League of Legends. One of the main areas is Demacia versus Noxus, and this was the last place I'll talk about. But you might think that Demacia is all the good guys because they all wear bright and shiny armor, but they also have a series of like really hateful like mage slayers in their group, where they will keep certain mages that are out of line underfoot, and that just kind of shows that even though they fight for good, they do horrible means to stop to get by. And then you have Noxus, who you think is all evil, but really they're just a group of people that are like Spartans, that are like, we fight for power and for strength so that nobody can ever they can never oppose us and enslave us. Yeah. So strength is important, not enslaving others, just strength. And if you are strong, you are respected. And that's a really cool way for them to live. And so they have all these different regions in League of Legends that are full of characters that kind of like anybody who wants to try it can pick a place or pick a person who they like and feel not represented, but they can feel like they have a lot of meat to grab onto from the lore of that area. And so having this expansive lore, having a feeling of having a impact on what's going on in the world, you know, being the mages outside of the world, controlling these champions, was all really, really cool and fascinating to me.
Nice. Was there that is a lot of lore.
Yeah.
And yeah, you and I have talked about League of Legends lore before.
Yeah. And
it is like really interesting. I love that they did try to like canonize the player.
Yeah. I don't think they do that anymore. But that's what it used to be.
One thing I did want to ask though, because you liked the chess side of it, like the chess feel, the strategy. Was there any like game mechanics or anything that like stick out really well with you in that game, like that draw you? Because knowing that you're a huge fighting game fan, it's you know, it's really interesting to hear you bring a game that's a MOBA that, you know, isn't really about like parrying and stuff. What about League of Legends like gameplay makes it so impactful to you? Yeah,
so I feel like the characters in League of Legends were also structured like fighting game characters, which is why I think that they fit so well into 2XKO, which is coming out sometime next year. And it was easy to translate them to fighting game characters because they all have your traditional, hey, this is your basic attack. So, and within those basic attack, you have like regular attack animation, crit strike animations. So you have a series of normals like you would in a fighting game. And then you have special moves. So each character has a QWE, which is 3 different specials, which they might be a passive or an active in some way, where like they might throw an item or they could buff themselves up. And then they have their R, which is an ultimate, like a super in a fighting game. So I liked that there was that sort of parallel where I had a character that had a kit of abilities and a super that was character defining that would that I just like, I don't know, could utilize. In addition, like all of these characters had like how do I say it? The mechanic of sort of using their skills in combat was really cool. So it was mainly just the suite of skills that the characters had.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that game is I tried it with you guys once.
Mm-hmm.
While it's not for me, I do see the appeal. It was a lot more fun than I expected. I expected it to be way not my alley.
Yeah. When I played it, it was a much simpler time too. There was not nearly as many items and things that affect you and had so many different variations. It was really simple. There's a small shop of items that were either buffed your speed, your attack speed, your damage, or like your defense. And you kind of just built most of the same stuff on everybody. And it was the characters' abilities that really shined. Now it feels like their builds are what are most important. And you run into situations where characters are just killing you. You don't know why, because you're just like, everything looks like sparks and flashes and I'm dead now. But if you go read up on all the items they have, now you understand why that spark killed you. But before it was like, that move looks like it hurts. Don't get hit by that move. It used to be that simple.
Yeah. Well, kind of piggybacking on that question, I know this game was incredibly impactful to you and is a big core part of like your multiplayer like personality and like ideology. But do you still play the game?
So I don't play the game as much now. I play it. I've kind of, I wouldn't say fallen back in love, but I've seen myself playing it more often. I took a really long break from the game because the game is toxic as all hell. It's so it is a commitment. So when you play a game of League, you're stuck in for 45 minutes to an hour.
Wow.
Yeah. Like you can't surrender and quit until at least 15 minutes, which is about as long as a match for most games.
Yeah, most shooters have that as like the cap of as long as they'll go.
Yeah, so think about that as being the minimum. And it has to be unanimous for you to actually surrender. I think only one person can say no. And if 2 people say no, you have to continue playing. And then you have to wait another 10 minutes before you can try to surrender again. And if you leave the game, whenever you try to jump back into League, you are put back into the game that you left. And your allies don't get a replacement. And if you get reported, you cannot play for like 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, a day, 2 days. Like you pretty much have to go and create a new account, right? And so it is a commitment to play League of Legends when you sit down and start a match. So with it being such a committal game, it kind of like, as my life has grown, I've gotten more responsibilities. I've had less and less room to play League of Legends. And all of that also is on the back of the fact that this game, if you have a bad match, that's an hour you have to sit in a bad match.
Oof.
Like you cannot leave. You have to deal with it. You have to just sit there and get shat on for 45 minutes. You just have to get shat on. And if the team is like, and if the enemy team decides, hey, we're going to make this a slow kill, and 2 people on your team are like, guys, we can come back. You like,
guys, the band's gonna make it. We can do it. We just gotta get a hit.
Yeah, like then it becomes a game of diplomacy where you're not even playing League of Legends anymore. You're typing to like, hey guys, listen here. Like I understand you think we can make it, but please let's just go ahead and surrender. We can start a new game. No, bro, we can make it. Fuck. All right. All chat. Hey guys, we need you to go hurry up and kill the game or kill us because 2 of our guys won't surrender. Please kill us. And they're like, nah, dude, we're gonna make you suffer. And you're just like, fuck. Okay, what can I do now to convince them to kill us? What if I do some shit that's like really like scary? Like, okay, I'm gonna start backlining and like it's a whole diplomacy. It becomes a whole thing. And like, I'm getting older. I don't have time for that. You know what I mean?
I know I would rage if I saw the lol nah.
Yeah. Yo, can you end the game, please? Lol. Nah. Okay. Well, now I have to chill for 45 minutes, and I could just quit, but then I'm gonna get reported by everybody on my team and their team because I didn't sit there and take that ass whooping. You know?
Yeah.
So
that sounds. Yeah. No wonder that game lives up to its toxic reputation.
It's an extremely toxic game, but if you can make it through, you become quite familiar with adversity and what you're able to achieve because of that, fortitude. The mental fortitude is extremely rewarding. I would not be able to sit and suffer through a lot of the stuff I suffer through in current games if it weren't for suffering through League. So it is rewarding.
That makes actually a lot of sense. I feel like I have never had to play a game like League that disrespects me so much. And I am far more whiny about games than you are.
Okay.
So now I know where that strength comes from.
It is because of League. And sometimes it's like accepting an abusive relationship. So it's not even something to be proud of a lot of the time. It's like, no, dude, this is bad for you. It's like, but it'll change. No, it's bad for you, but it'll change. It's like, it's not going to change. So, League is, for better or for worse, I can take that ass.
Awesome. Well, before we move on to our last boss topic, I would like to just ask, do you have any final things you want to say about League of Legends?
I would say if you want to jump into a game where you can really test yourself and learn a lot about how to manage the ins and outs of not just a game, but just about an interaction, like a multiplayer interaction. League of Legends will teach you a lot. It'll teach you how to pay attention to yourself. It'll teach you how to pay attention to your team. It'll humble you. And it'll just kind of give you a lot of core things that would help you in pretty much any multiplayer game that you play. So I would definitely recommend playing it and playing with somebody who's good, who can show you the ropes, because it's a really hard game to jump into by yourself. But I think everybody should play League so you can see how bad it actually is. Not the game, but how bad things could be. When you're complaining about playing against a person and getting beaten in a fighting game or something like that, play some League and you'll know what it truly means to be video game abused. But we all got to learn. So,
well, thank you for those terrific final words of encouragement. No, but seriously, thank you for bringing League of Legends. That was a fun game to learn about.
Yeah.
Next is our last boss topic. So, I was thinking about this one in terms of League of Legends, just because it was a genre that I was like, that is not a genre that I would expect.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, what genre do you find to be the hardest to speak your game language? And knowing what games define your language, why do you think that is?
That's honestly, so the hardest genre to speak my language would probably be single player platformers.
Platformers?
Yeah.
Even though you're a Sonic fan?
Yeah, but Sonic, hear me out, okay? Sonic is pretty much a single player racing game. The current Sonic games. Even though it's like a platformer, there's not a lot of platforming games like Sonic, 3D Sonic. A lot of them are a little bit more on the slower side, Mm-hmm. And so, for example, we'll use Astrobot, right? That might be the game of the year currently, but it's still a game that is going to take a lot for me to go play it, because going through and collecting items as the reward and jumping as the primary mode of gameplay for some reason isn't that rewarding to me, And so it's always been hard for me to play platformer games as or to feel rewarded when I play a platformer game, even though I respect them and think that they're a core part of gaming in general. it's really hard for that to be the only thing that I do. So platformers have always been really hard for me to play or to be, enticed to play. I kind of have to be convinced to play them, you know? I think the last time I really thoroughly played a platformer was Mario Odyssey, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So normally if I'm going to play a platformer, I'm going to play a Metroidvania, which is a mix between platforming and action. Like, platforming normally has to be a part of the game that I'm playing, not the sole reason I'm playing the game.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. I was going to say, I don't like it in real life, but I am a big fan of parkour. So I think that's why I like platforming. I like jumping and wall jumping. That stuff's fun. No, that makes sense, though. I would have to say for me, the genre that's hardest to speak my language is probably real-time strategy. Mm-hmm. There's not a single game that's ever been able to break through for me that I enjoy. There is just something about controlling a bunch of minions in real time, too, so it doesn't pause. Because I like strategy games. Yeah. Like, I love Fire Emblem. But anytime I've tried to play StarCraft, Warcraft, Age of Empires, and so I think that might be the 3 that I have tried. Mm-hmm. Every single one of them falls flat because I'm just like, I can't. Oh, and Halo Wars. Yeah. There's something about like watching just like groups of little dots go across the screen that I'm just not interested. I'm not engaged. I think the reason is because I really think that the thing that defines what I like about my own game language is action. Yeah. I think that's why I like platformers, is that the action of moving is kinetic. Yeah. That's why I love Mario and Sonic, but then also like fighting, like Devil May Cry and fighting games I enjoy because there's that feedback. I do like shooters, but they are lower because like that action's not as kinetic to me as like smacking someone or jumping.
Like the physical action of piloting your character. Yeah. I understand. I get you. I do like RTSs, but in limited amounts, because I really like to just build a giant army and then watch them all die. So there's something funny about that, like sending them to their doom. And I think it comes from playing like the old Abe Odyssey games, is I would just get a bunch of units and then watch them go fight, and I'm like, all right. And I'd sit there with my brothers and make bets, or like, are they going to win or are they going to lose? You know? And so that was kind of fun.
Yeah. See, I think that might be the reason why I never got into those Oddworld games. I was always sold to them as if they were platformers. Yeah. And then I played them and I'm like, I don't.
No, it's like a unit. It's like a unit game. But I like watching them die in funny ways.
That is true. I was pretty entertained by that when I played like 2 hours of the...
Yeah, but it only ever lasts that long. Like, I was a fan of the Total War games, and so I'd buy a Total War game, or I'd buy Tab's Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, and I just built giant armies, make them fight. Cool, now I turn the game off.
Yeah, no, that's true. But yeah, that's it for the last boss topic. Thank you for answering that. Mm-hmm. It's always cool to know what genres speak our language and what don't. But it also, the reason I asked that question too is like, I do want to reiterate that I don't write them off. Right. I am still waiting for that RTS game to break through, and speak my language, but it hasn't happened yet.
If you could throw together a RTS game that you think would have the best chance of speaking your language, what would you put in it? Like, what type of mechanics? What setting?
Would it still be considered RTS though if you took control of a unit?
Yeah, because I believe that there are current RTS games where you control units at large. There absolutely are. There's one that I was just looking at recently. I forgot the name of it, but you control the units at large, and then you go down small scale to play your guy while being part of that war. I used to have this roommate, Carlin. You remember him? Yeah. And there was great guy. Shout out Carlin. There was a game that we played together where it was a multiplayer MMO that was also an RTS game. So you had a series of units that you each had control, like a battalion, and you guys would siege other players' castles, but you controlled your captain. So you would tell your units what to do, which had RTS elements, but you also controlled your singular unit. So you could help influence certain situations. He also used to play this game, which is, I just want to make a nod at this game, which was kind of an RTS game, but it was a old, like, I want to say like 1800 game where, you had the singular shot guns.
Yeah,
muskets and whatnot.
Powder rifles.
Yeah, but it was a army game where every single unit, like 50, 60, 70 units on each team was a player. And then there was one player who's told you, like, through voice chat and through the, because somebody would have to play, like, the drummer and somebody would have to play the flute player. He would tell them to tell you what to do through them. So he'd tell the player, play this tempo, play this flute tune to symbolize group up, symbolize fall back, and all this. And so every single unit was a player that had to listen to the instructions of their captain. And that was really, really cool. So that was like a mix between RTS and like actually having agency over your individual characters.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds actually way more up my alley, because I think that's the biggest problem for me. Like, if I had to make a dream RTS game that would speak my language, it'd be one where it's like, hey, like, make your battle plan before the match starts, like your armies and stuff. But then I've always liked the idea that, like, a soldier is as good as the pilot. Like, I mean, and so, if I'm fighting an enemy, if I'm the better player, if we're going 50 men versus 50 men, I want to be able to be the one that comes out on top based on skill.
Yeah.
So I would want to play something like that. But so I'll keep my eye out for something like it.
Yeah.
What about you? What with platformers? What do you need from like an actual just platforming game?
Like just platforming. I think that for a just platforming game, I would need a couple of things. So I would very much like a skill tree. You can throw a skill tree in just about any game, and I'll be more interested in playing it. If you had like things like double jump or ground pound or different like wall running, all those different things locked behind a skill tree, and turning collectibles into XP would give me a sense of progression. A lot of the time you have all the tools you need from a platformer from the get-go, and it's about experiencing the level through the developer's eyes, where they give you a power-up that you're supposed to use during that level, or they give you like a difficult situation, and it's about overcoming the situation with the tools at hand and your own creativity that are important. And while I like that, a lot of the times I feel like I can find a easy way to overcome it, and so that doesn't ever make me feel like what's the word? Like it's structured. I think I like structure. So having a skill tree that, hey, you're only ever going to be able to get past this point once you unlock the ability to wall jump. So you need to go back, discover items, and discovering this XP would give you more platforming skills, which I would use as platforming. So you'd have to have a Metroidvania essentially, but it only be platforming tasks.
Minus the XP, you just need to play Celeste, bro. That's what that game does. Is
so it
unlocks abilities as you beat it that are all platforming.
Okay. So I was under the impression that Celeste, you pretty much had everything you needed from the get-go.
You don't even get dashes or double jumps until like different parts in the game, but it's much later than you would expect.
Yeah. Okay. I own Celeste, so I should play it.
Yeah. No. So see if that game speaks your language more, because it's also hard as shit. So yeah. Awesome. All right, so we're getting to the end of the episode. Going to be closing you guys out with some video game vocab, and it's topical today. It's MOBA. What is that? Well, according to Wikipedia, MOBAs are multiplayer online battle arenas. It's a subgenre of strategy video games in which two teams of players compete against each other on a predefined battlefield. Each player controls a single character with a set of distinctive abilities that improve over the course of a game and which contribute to the team's overall strategy. The typical objective is for each team to destroy their opponent's main structure, located at the opposite corner of the battlefield. In some MOBA games, the objective can be defeating every player on the enemy team. Players are assisted by computer-controlled units that periodically spawn in groups and march forward along set paths towards their enemy's base, which is heavily guarded by defensive structures. This type of multiplayer online video games originated as a subgenre of real-time strategy, though MOBA players usually do not construct buildings or units. Moreover, there are examples of MOBA games that are not considered real-time strategy games, such as Smite and Paragon. The genre is seen as a fusion of real-time strategy, role-playing, and action games. So, a very long definition. But now you know what MOBAs are. All right.
Well, now we're rounding down to the end of the episode. It is time for the final credits. It's the last part of the show where we give you 30 seconds
uninterrupted
to say whatever your heart desires.
Be it salty,
sweet,
or say nothing at all.
The mic is yours.
Tell us what's on your mind.
And today it's me in 3, 2, 1. So I just want to take this moment to remind people that it's okay if you suck at a game. It's okay if you don't do good at a game. I think it's always important to try and push yourself. I think games are a really cool medium to sort of scratch that itch that exists inside humans to overcome and persevere. I'll get off my soapbox in a moment, but I think it's always important to push yourself to overcome, achieve a new limit, and be proud of yourself. So no matter what anybody says or talk shit about you online, you're good. You'll be good.
Cut!
Game Language is recorded at Grizzly Voices Studios in Mesa, Arizona. Our producers are Jason Flynn and Troy Brown. Our intro music is our personal track, Penguin Symphony. Our outro music is Jump by Snail's House, also provided by Riot Music. Our editor and sound engineer is Adonis Shepard.